Hey, it's Matt Morris. Welcome back to lesson number 3 in our 5-day series on how to go from amateur to pro in network marketing. In lesson number 1, we covered the foundational training on behavioral psychology. And then in lesson 2, we talked about finding a mentor. We talked about how to become an expert. And in today's lesson, we're going to talk about the mindset and the psychology of your prospects and what actually triggers them to take action. So we talked a bit about making sure your mindset and your belief system are where they need to be. But even when you get that right, to truly become a master in network marketing, you have to understand the psychological triggers for your prospects. So the vast majority of network marketers, they actually have no clue as to what really moves people to action. So they just shove their company's breakthrough products, their revolutionary compensation plans, and they tell their prospects how their opportunity is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Now, please hear me on this. Your prospects do not care, and they are way smarter than the hype. At least the ones that you want in your organization. They're smarter than most of the bullshit that average network marketers try to ram down their throat. So as the late Stephen Covey says in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, you want to seek first to understand and then to be understood. So as we covered earlier in principle number 1 on beliefs, see, people do things. They take action because of feelings. They take action because of motivation. So to effectively sign up prospects, you want to understand how motivation is created in the first place, because what's motivating for you may not be what's motivating for the people that you're prospecting. So I want to give you what I consider to be the core of how motivation is created. So let's talk about motivation. Okay. Now, motivation exists when there's a gap between what people want and what people have. Okay? So this is a gap. Okay, you could call that also their pain point. And listen to me on this. Everyone, no matter how successful you think someone is, they have a pain point at some level. And here's the challenge. Now, you may be selling someone on making a ton of money because money is what motivates you, but the person you're talking to, they may value time freedom or maybe helping other people as a much higher motivating factor than money. So if you want to be a master recruiter, you want to perform what I would consider to be a gap analysis. This is essentially finding out where their gap is, what they really want. So a gap analysis. Okay? Now, one of the reasons why I've had such a high enrollment rate for years is because once I know someone's pain points, or once I know what they really want, and then I can show them how my company, my products, and my mentorship can help them achieve that goal, as you can imagine, it drastically increases the likelihood of them joining the team. So focus on finding someone's hot buttons, and you'll see what a dramatic shift it makes in your ability to close. And to really help you move towards being a master recruiter, I'm going to go a little deeper into the mind of your prospects so you can understand a bit more about the psychology of what moves them to action. So make sure you're writing these down. I'm going to flip over here. So there's 3 primary questions that your prospect has when they look at your opportunity. So write these primary questions down. Question number 1 is, does it work? Okay? Okay? So we've become a pretty skeptical society, especially as it relates to network marketing. So most people want to see proof that people are actually having success in your company. So this is especially true if you haven't made a lot of money yourself. They need to see evidence. So this is why most infomercials, as an example, they spend more than 1/3 of the infomercial with other people who've actually had success with the product that they're selling. So what you want to do is make sure you're armed with stories from other people in your company who have actually had a lot of success. And the more you have in your memory, the better. So personally, I have about 10 different stories that I use with my company, depending on what it is that someone does for a living. So if I have someone who, for instance, maybe they're a medical profession, or maybe someone who tells me they don't have a lot of time. Well, immediately in my mind, it just triggers it. I tell the story of my buddy David, who was a chiropractor. He was working 60 hours a week. He was making a lot of money, but he was totally time broke. So what he did, he put in about 2 hours a night after work, and within 10 months, he hit the top rank in our company, which is an average of over $500,000 a year in income. See, David knew that if he didn't carve out a few extra hours a week to create some passive income, he'd be stuck working for the rest of his life. David's now been able to sell his chiropractic clinic, he's gotten married, he has a baby, and he's been able to travel to over 20 countries around the world, all because he carved out a few hours a week to devote to his financial future. So another example, if I have someone who's a blue-collar worker, or they tell me they don't have the money, then I immediately, it triggers in my mind, I tell the story about my buddy Michael. So Michael was an unemployed construction worker. He didn't have the money either, so he used his unemployment check to get started, and 3 years later, he hit the top rank in our company. He's now able to travel all around the world. He moved from the hood in New York City to a big mansion in Florida right near the beach. See, because of this question, it's also important to let them know how well your company is doing. So your presentation, it should mention the size of your company, any accolades, anything that establishes credibility so they see that it's not some fly-by-night operation. So essentially proof that the company is good and there's a lot of people having success. Now, this allows them to believe that they can achieve success. At least it's one of the factors. So question 1 is important, but it is nowhere near as important as the primary question number 2. So primary question number 2 is, can I do it? Can I do it? So listen, you may have the greatest product, the greatest compensation plan, you may have lots of people making money, but none of that matters if they don't believe they can do it themselves. So this is actually the number 1 most important question they have in their mind, and it's the number 1 reason why they don't get started. They just don't believe they could be successful doing what you're doing. So this is where you have to point to a system of doing business. How their job is not to be a salesperson, but to simply take people on an information tour guide to educate others on your program. So if I'm ever showing a video presentation of my company, I always tell them when I hit play on the video, I always say this. I say, pay attention to what I have to do here to explain this to you. And then I kind of overemphasize the pushing play on the video. So if I'm ever doing a live presentation where other team members, maybe they've invited their guests, then I ask the guest, I say, can you do what the person who invited you here is doing right now? See, realize 95% of the people in the world do not like to sell. Most people would rather eat worms than have to sell something. So I tell prospects all the time that they have to actually promise me that you won't go out and be a cheesy salesperson when you join. Which, when I do that, it actually reassures them because they don't want to sell anyway. See, if they try and go out and explain it by themselves without following a system or without using sales tools, then the people they show it to are not likely to enroll because they think they have to go sell. So, if you have people on the fence, realize what's holding them back. It's not the lack of time or money. It's never lack of time or money. It's always, always a lack of belief. So one thing I've done countless times to get people off the fence is, just being able to look at them in the eyes and tell them, John, you can do this. The simple fact of you telling someone that you believe in them, in many cases, that's going to get them to believe in themselves, and that's going to get them off the fence. Now, the third primary question that people have, so number 3 is, will you help me? Will you help me? A lot of people have done network marketing before and they never got proper support. So you need to let them know that you're going to be there for them. Also, for the people who've never done network marketing before, this is totally new for them. They're going to have a lot of uncertainty, and honestly, it's pretty scary for a lot of people because of a lot of the preconceived ideas that most people have about network marketing. So while you definitely do not want to give them the impression that you're going to do all the work for them, you can say things like, listen, when you get started, I'll take you by the hand and I'll walk you through every step of the way. You will never suffer from a lack of support with me because you make money, I make money. So consider me your business partner, and I will promise you this, you'll give up on you before I'll give up on you. So that script, I mean, if you want to watch this video over and over, memorize that script. You can make a lot of money with that. Now, by understanding that these are the 3 main questions that prospects have, does it work? Can I do it? Will you help me? And then when you combine that with finding out your prospect's why for doing the business, those two concepts alone should easily more than double your closing percentages. Now, of course, sponsoring someone in your business means nothing unless you actually get them into action immediately. So once you enroll someone, there's a whole different level of psychology that comes into play to actually get them out taking action that most network marketers are actually completely clueless on. So we don't have time to go through that in detail in this series, but if you ever want to know how to create a frenzy of activity from your new members, you can definitely check out Millionaire School, where I show you my exact strategies that have actually led to hundreds of thousands of representatives on the team. So now you are well on your way to becoming a professional. And until this point, the next training lesson, it wouldn't even matter. But now that you're actually getting your beliefs aligned with becoming a pro, you're modeling a proven mentor, you understand the psychology of your prospects, you need to know the top secrets of how professional leaders in network marketing close their prospects. So listen, leaders don't get to the top of the mountain by falling there. There's a reason professionals reach the level of success they do. And in the next video, I'm going to teach you a few of the top strategies on how to close with power, with confidence, and with certainty like a pro. I'll see you tomorrow.